This session going to be talk about the connecting smart objects. In the previous session, we have discussed in length about smart objects and its characteristics and its trends. Continuation of that. So here the connection to establish with the Internet of Things network, the smart objects which going to be situated at the physical location. There will acquire the information. So those information going to be the convert into analog to digital. So that we can be convert into the actions by the actuators. So that we have discussed. Continuation of that here we need to be connect them. So this module 2 going to be talk about the smart objects and connecting those smart objects with the proper the access technology. So access technology going to be several technology are going to be discussed in the subsequent discussion. So continuation of this. So before going to be discuss the access technologies, so now we are going to be discuss the connecting smart objects. So things will be followed in this way. There is a range. So how fast or how long the distance the device going to be cover. So it may be in terms of the meters, it may be less than 1 meter. Maybe in terms of miles, it may be less than 1 miles or more than 1 miles. So the range of that the data transmission of that smart objects can be need to be studied that, and also the frequency band. What are all the frequency band they will follow that for this to communicate with the other device between the devices, the range after the range, what frequency they are going to be exercise, the power consumption of connecting these smart devices. So what amount of power going to be consumed or will be spent for these devices, and also the topology and connecting a smart object to the network, IoT networks. There is a what are the topology going to be exercised. So there could be a star topology, mesh topology, and different topology going to be exercised. Constraint devices. So normally this IoT will always suffer from the constraints in the sense that communication wise, that may be a lossy communication, the memory may be very smaller, and power may be minute, but we need to be watch. So there are constraints will be there. So there are some of the constraints which are inheritance, so they are part and parcel of that network also. So we cannot eradicate that is compared to the IT technology, IT network. So the IoT network always constraints oriented. So such device how can cope with that. So constraints node network, that network having that constraints node, how the network going to be observed that. So there is a data rate between these devices and throughput, and there is a latency is how fast they will go to be respond initial to final. So when you initiate the request and we get those or response, so that is latency. Determinism, so determines that the nodes existence, path existence. There is a overhead and payload, so that most of that will be IP based. So there is a protocol that the protocol, the address, that payload and overhead will be there. So coming to this model 2, that connecting the smart objects. So the connecting the smart objects, so the communication criteria is most important here especially that model 2 concentrating on connecting the smart devices. So there we discuss the smart objects, and we need to be connect them. So after connecting, there is a access technology will be there, right? So what is a connecting or what is a communication criteria here? Narrating that there is attributes should be consider select dealing with the connecting smart objects. So there are attributes you need to be consider. So the various technologies used for connecting sensors can differ greatly, which depends on the criteria used to analyze them. So there is a range, frequency band. So we are going to be that connecting the smart objects. So power consumption, topology, the constraint devices, constraint node, so on. That is the communication criteria is going to be discussed in three range. So that is a short range, medium range, and long range, right? So in this three range, we will see that how this smart objects will be communicate. So how far does the signal need to be propagated? So what is the distance? What is how long that the strength of the signal will be remain the normal, or it may be low, or it may be high. So at a certain distance we need to be stop that and acquire that is. So what will be the area of coverage for selecting wireless technology, right? So wireless technology is most prominent one, it essential for IoT. So the wireless technology we need to be keep in our mind, and we need to be discuss that is, right? So we can have that. So the should indoor versus outdoor deployments be differentiated? So that the device which will be there at indoor, so they might be short distance, they may be noiseless, right? So outdoor maybe deployment is far away, and it may be noise, and various hurdles the outdoor deployment has to be addressed. So these are the things we need to be consider while talking about the range of the communication between the device in a IoT, that is a smart objects. So that is basically short range. See that. So classical wide example is a serial cable. So most of the classical example we have seen so far in domestic applications, or in wherever that serial cable is a wide communication that we have seen, that short range. So wireless short range technology are often consider an alternative to serial cable. So obviously so far we have traditional method serial cable, alternative one that wireless, supporting tens of meter, that tens of meters. So maximum distance between two devices. So between the device that through the cable, so can tens of meter, maybe 20 meter, 40 meter, so on, that is maximum, right? So for example short range wireless technology, that is IEEE 802.15.1, so Bluetooth, and 802.15.7, that is a visible light communication. So these are the popular technologies are there. So through them they can connect these smart devices. So that range will be very small, that in terms of tens of meters. So 20 meter, 30 meter, 40 meters, so on, that is. So that other range is a medium range. So that range may be 100 to 10 to hundreds meters, hundreds of meters, right? So earlier within 100, now we have more than hundreds, 10 to hundreds of meters. Many specific and implementations are available that. So we have maximum distance is generally less than 1 mile between the two devices. The radio frequency technology do not have real maximum defined, that is, it is unlimited. So as long as the radio signal is transmitted, so receiver in the scope of application, the specification. Example wireless technology include IEEE 0.11 Wi-Fi, 0.15.4, that 4G, that wireless personal area network. So such examples. So wide one of course 802.3 Ethernet. So 190.2 narrowband power line communication. So may also classified the medium range. It depends upon the their physical media characteristics. So long range you can see that distance greater than the 1 mile. So between the device, right? So that is a long range technology. Cellular is 2G, 3G, 4G, we are familiar. Some applications of the outdoor that for which point one Wi-Fi low power wide area network, that is a technology will be there. So that low power wide area network communicates have ability to communicate over a long range without spending much power. So long range, this technology therefore ideal for battery powered IoT sensors, so on that. So 802.3, that over optical fiber, so that optical fiber and broadband power line communications are also classified as a long range. So optical one, and then today we might have different what we called different vendors are there for optical fiber, even for direct home. So that range of wireless access landscape, who can observe this short, medium and long range. So you can see the short range, that is in terms of tens meters. So that Bluetooth technology we have to connect them. The serial cable alternative is a wireless, 0.2 that Bluetooth, and 0.7 is a VLC, that is tens meter, that is a short range. So let me see medium range. Medium range we have that is a Zigbee and 802.15.4, 1902.PLC. So on that medium range are there. So that is a one within 1 mile distance. So you can have Wi-Fi, that wireless power personal area network. So we have that Ethernet 190 narrowband power line communication. This comes under media range, and also the long range we have seen the cellular one up to 4G, 5G also. So it is a greater than 1 mile wireless, that low power network, wireless networks are there. So that short, that alternative to serial cable, 0.1 Bluetooth and 0.7 is a VLC, we have seen that. So for which that is a medium is a less than 1 mile, and long is a greater than 1 mile. So that is a alternative to serial cable, we have summarized that. So coming to this the second component after the range, so the frequency bands of this connecting the smart objects in IoT. So there is a radio spectrum is controlled by countries, right? So that ITU is controlled by them. So otherwise the mismanaging or noise will be there, right? Spectrum, the classification are distributed that. So the Federal Communication, FCC also. So ITU and FCC are held responsible. We can make use for the any applications of this radio frequency. So these groups define regulations. So those the universal regulations. So any person want to use them, they can follow that. So there we have portion of spectrum allocated to type of telecommunication, such as radio, TV, military network, so on. They have specific frequency band, so which is allocated by this ITU and FCC. They have to follow that. So frequency band IoT access frequency band leveraged by wireless communications, or bifurcated between licensed and unlicensed bands. So that licensed and unlicensed bands are there. So those licensed bands are secured and unlicensed bands are may not secure, so as license. So people are using this license band. So generally applicable to IoT long range access, license 1, and allocated to communication infrastructure. So entertained by the service provider, public services. So the first responder, military, broadcast, utilities, so on, that the kind of license spectrum, especially for IoT long range, they are going to exercise. So for example, the license spectrum commonly used to IoT access are cellular, WiMAX, and narrowband IoT, that NB IoT technologies are more popular, that most of the cellular networks. So that unlicensed one, that also. So ITU has defined unlicensed spectrum too for industry and scientific medical, that is ISM, right? Portions of the radio bands for short range devices. So that short range devices we can exercise there. So there is unlicensed means that no guarantee or protection are offered in the ISM. So that is a noise will be there. So somebody, the crosstalk will be there. Somebody, the same frequency they might somebody use. There could be some little problems are there. So that's why no guarantee of the having that good communication with unlicensed the spectrum ISM bands for the device communication. For IoT access, these most well-known ISM bands are there. 2.4 gigahertz bands use IEEE 0.11b, G bar 1 Wi-Fi, that is. So this is a licensed spectrum of ISM. So IEEE 802.15.1, that is Bluetooth, 15.4 that wireless personal area network. So these are the popular ISMs for IoT. That too in the licensed spectrum. So frequency band, the transmission directly impacts on the how signal propagates into practical maximum range. So and its practical maximum range. So that frequency transmission directly impacts that is. So communication within ISM bands operate a sub gigahertz range. That ISM, that industry, scientific and military, that bands operate sub gigahertz range. So that sub gigahertz bands are use protocol that 0.15.4 and 0.4G and 0.11 AH and that low power wireless technology, that is such as LoRa and Sigfox. So LoRa and Sigfox are the architecture for IoT. So LoRa architecture we are going to be discussed in depth in the subsequent discussion. So these are the sub bands of this what we ISM sub bands, that 2.4 gigahertz ISM bands are there. So in their sub bands the range we have. So that is a 0.4G, 0.11H and LPWA. For example, that LoRa and Sigfox. So either indoor outdoor deployments, that sub gigahertz frequency bands allow greater distance between the devices. So these sub bands are more encourageable. So these bands better ability than 2.4 gigahertz ISM bands to penetrate the building infrastructure. So that is most important here. So the signals are passed and it will be penetrated through the building structure, even ground obstacles also, even any huge foundation laid down by stone and all those, that could be penetrated that while keeping that transmitting power within the regulations. So that is the beauty of this sub bands, that gigahertz will be have good communication over that with a suitable frequency band. So the problems of this sub gigahertz frequency is their lower rate of data delivery compared to the high frequency. This is a observation of this sub gigahertz frequency bands, that low rate. So we have most IoT sensors may not need to send the data at a high rate, obviously. So IoT need required a low rate itself. So therefore lower transmission speed sub gigahertz technology are usually not concerned for IoT sensor deployment. So it may not concern, that is. So example, most European countries 169 megahertz band is often considered best suited for wireless water, underground water, that is gas metering applications, right? So that 169 megahertz sub gigahertz band has practiced in most of the European countries that have a very reliable communication. This is due to the good deep building basement signal penetration. This 169 megahertz, that European decision of several countries that penetrate the building basement too. The low data rate, this frequency matches the low volume of data that needs to be transmitted. So that frequency band. So again that there are such ranges have been defined in the ISC band. That is most well known is 169, 433, 868, 915. So these are the well known sub 2.4 gigahertz what we see in that. So those are most popular. popular that. So IoT access technology tend to focus on the 2 sub gigahertz frequency, that is 868 and 915. So 868 and 915 are the most popular going to be exercised for IoT access technology. So this major bands commonly found throughout the world and are applicable to near all countries. So this we have seen that it penetrates the building basement too, and any tough concretes. So though I have a low data rate, so but it is a best suitable in most of the application. So that this European Conference Postal and Telecommunication, that is a CEPT. So that European Radio Communications Committee, ERC, this 70 hyphen 03, that recommendation. So around 2007 something, that is I am not sure that. So defines that 868 megahertz frequency band. So that was the most popular for this kind of the applications. That CEPT was established 1959 as a coordinating body for European telecommunication and the postal organization. So India and Middle East, Africa, Asia, Russia have adopted the CEPT definitions. So that CEPT definitions we have that 17 bar 03, that 868 megahertz band. No? So that is a CEPT, and what we call ERC. This is going to be adopted even in our country also. Recommendation that 70 bar 03, no? Mostly characteristics the use of 863 to 870 megahertz band. So it permit the power that effective EIRP, effective isotropic radiated power, and duty cycle of that percentage of time device can be active in the transmission. So this 863 to 870 megahertz subband is exercised in a recommendation called 70-03 characteristics, right, by both the CEPT and ERC. Even most of the countries are adopted that. So the ERP is the amount of power that antenna consumes would produce a peak power density observed in the direction of the maximum antenna gain. So that 868 subband applicable to IoT technology. So along with that, such as 0.4, no, 802, IEEE 802.15.4 and 15.4G and 802.11H and LoRaWAN. So these are the most popular beneficiaries for this 868 megahertz subband for most of the IoT applications. The smart objects running over unlicensed bands can easily optimize in the hardware supporting. So unlicensed bands where smart objects are exercising, so you can optimize in terms of the hardware supporting two main worldwide sub gigahertz frequency, that is 868 and 915 are the popular megahertz. So most of the European countries, of course, so if that unlicensed spectrum bands they're exercising for the smart objects, in that case we can optimize the smart objects with the main this sub gigahertz megahertz bands, that is 868 and 915. However, so parameter transmit power antenna EIRP must be properly designed to follow setting required the each country regulations. So that each country they have to come out with their own regulation or adopt them, and we can thought about analysis that transit power antenna ERP should be properly addressed, that is. So coming to the power consumption, after discussing a range and frequency band, so that power consumption is power nodes, so battery power nodes or maybe that cell power, solar power. Power nodes has a direct connection to a power source. So communication are usually not limited by power consumption criteria. So it is not a matter of communication is nowhere involved to talk about the power consumption criteria. So that ease of development power nodes is limited by the availability of the power source. So based on the availability of the powers, then the power node will be decided, which makes the mobility more complex. So in a mobile case it may be quite difficult. So battery powered nodes bring much more flexibility even for mobile or motion oriented or stationary oriented smart objects. So these nodes are often classified by the required lifetimes of their batteries, right? So depends upon the lifetime of the battery that is. So power consumption, we have that that is a power devices under regulation maintains a battery life 2 to 3 years is an option. So or more, IoT wireless access technology must address the needs of low power consumption and connectivity battery power nodes. So it continues the evaluation of the new wireless environment known as a low power wide area network. So low power wide area network is a new network which is going to be in crash for most of the wireless IoT networks. It is possible to run just about any wireless technology on a batteries. So that is a more suitable that. So however, in reality, no operational deployment will be acceptable if hundreds of batteries must be changed every month. Is going to be very costly, or it may be difficult to operate them. So coming to, after discussing that range and frequency band and what is the power consumption, now we have a topology, the aspects we have to connecting the smart object to the IoT, that is also going to be impact. So among these technology available for connecting IoT devices, three main topology normally, that star, mesh and peer to peer. So these are the dominant topology going to be exercised for most of the IoT technology to connect the smart objects. So for long and short range technology, the star topology is prevalent and seen with the cellular. So low power wide area network, that Bluetooth network going to be long and range topology going to be exercised most of that. So star one is a single central base station or control to allow communication with the endpoints. So in case that is a star. So coming to that, for medium range technology, star, peer to peer and mesh, of course that is common. Peer to peer is allow any device to communicate with any other device. So that is a flexibility or in the range of each other. So we have obviously the peer to peer topology, it depends on the multiple full function device. So peer to peer topology enables more complex formation such as mesh network topology. So it forms that more complex. So examples of this, the connecting smart objects with a certain topology, the star topology. So we have that there is a leaf node and a root node will be there. So that root node will have the more powerful, that power node we can call, that is, where the other nodes are less power node, that is. So again peer to peer topology, so anyone can talk with that, right? So all are power node, right? So this anyone can talk with this. So but here anyone talk with not possible, that can talk with the via that parent or root node, that is. So that's why next we have that is a mesh technology, mesh topology. So we have several root node or power node and many more than that, there is a leaf nodes are there. So that is a that is a deep that is a circle which a deep color, that full function device, whereas the other leaf node is a reduced function device. So they have a less power to consume, so that functionality is also less compared to the root. So these are the technology topology going to be exercised. So that for example indoor Wi-Fi deployments are mostly set of nodes forming a star topology around the access points. So Wi-Fi is a star topology for most that indoor that. Meanwhile outdoor Wi-Fi consists of mesh topology for the backbone of access points with the nodes connecting to the access points in the star topology. So nodes connecting the access point is star. where outer Wi-Fi may consist of mesh topology as a backbone. So backbone, both they are exercising. Similarly, IEEE 802.15.4, 15.4G, and even wired IEEE 1901.2a PLC, that power line communications are generally exercised as a mesh topology. So connecting that topology, we have that mesh topology with cope up with the transmit that power searching to reach the greater overall distance, and cover by having a intermediate nodes relay traffic for the other nodes. So that mesh topology have the what is called intermediate nodes. So from then it can be propagate. So it requires the implementation of layer 2 forwarding the protocol known as a mesh under, right? So implementation that layer 2 forwarding protocol known as a mesh under, that is layer 2. Layer 3 forwarding protocol referred to as a mesh over, right? So that mesh under and mesh over on each intermediate nodes, so going to be exercised. So that mesh under and mesh over, that is a layer 2 and layer 3. So intermediate nodes or full function device, FFD is a simply node which interconnect the other nodes, that is FFD. So a node that does not interconnect or relay the traffic of other nodes known as a leaf node, that is a reduce function which not connect that. So if want connect, they connect through the full function device. So constraint device, after discussing that what is called the topology, so that is a constraint device are there. This IoT is keep telling compared to the IT, so that constraints are there. So those device also constraints that IETF, Internet Engineering Task Force, IETF acknowledges that RFC 7228. So RFC that required for specification that biodata of the each protocol. So protocol documentation, any protocol device that have a documentation, so that is called RFC, and each the protocol have that number. So one such number called 7228 is RFC. That different categories of IoT devices are deployed. It's related to IoT devices constraint oriented, that IETF has recommended. So while categorizing the class of IoT nodes is a perilous exercise, with the computing, memory, storage, power, network continuously evolving and improving. RFC 7228 gives some definitions of the constraint node. What is RFC? It is a documentation for particular network protocol here. So IoT want to connect to smart devices, so that constraint device especially. So in that case, RFC is going to be revamped to the larger extent, though is settled or designed by IETF, and later people are using that. It going to be address various attributes, that computing, memory, storage, power related issues, network continuously evolving that. So these definitions help differentiate the constraint nodes from unconstrained nodes. Most of the nodes which we have observed in the IT network are unconstrained. So they are traditional. They are going to be not disturbance. They are going to be a very effective one compared to the constraint nodes. So IT encourages or exists with the unconstrained node. IoT contains the constraints node, so such as servers, desktop, laptop computers, and powerful mobile devices such as smartphones are going to be constraints. Constraints nodes have limited resource, which impact their networking feature and set and capability, right? So that constraints nodes are always hampers the disturbance. So some classes of IoT nodes do not implement an IP stack. So some of the so far in olden IoT network which encourage the nodes which may not implement the IP stack. So according to RFC 7228, constraint nodes can be split into the classes. So it can be split into classes, that is that class 0, class 1 and class 2. So this class 0, class of nodes severely constrained with a less than 10 kilobyte of memory. So that memory we have seen in the previous discussion, it may be less than 250 kilobytes or 100. So even that class 0, which encourage put into some of the smart constraint device which have ability to transmit the data less than 10 KB of memory, less than 100 kilobyte of flash processing and storage capability. So these nodes are typically battery powered, right? So they do not have resource required to directly implement an IP stack. So they due to the power issues and their memory constraints, right? So they cannot put into the IP stack. Example, class 0 node is a push button that sends 1 byte of information when changing its states. So very nominal data is communicating. So class is particularly suited for leveraging a unlicensed low power wide area network wireless technology. So that constraints 1. So constraints 1. So similarly we have that that RFC 7220, that class 1. So that it is greater than class 0 and restricted to approximately 10 kilobyte RAM, 100 KB flash, and is still lower than expecting the IP stack implementation. So why you want to IP? Because that all objects have unique ID essential. So that providing unique ID is to globally recognize, that is only possible through internet protocol, that IP. So that IP cannot easily communicate with the, if you do not have a ID, then they cannot IP based devices, it cannot communicate full IP stack. However, these nodes implement optimized stack specifically designed for constraints node, such as protocol called constraints application protocol, COAP, and some of the various other protocols are there which is designed specifically for such devices. That COAP, that is allow class 1 nodes to engage in a meaningful conversation with the network without helping a gateway. It gives necessary security also. So environmental sensors, example of class 1 nodes, that is. So class 2, at the end we have that characterized by running a full implementation of IP stack embedded. They contain the 50 kilobyte of memory and so 250 kilobyte of flash memory. So they can fully integrated with IP network. Smart power meter is an example. So class 2 as an example of that. This class 1, class 2, class 0 are going to address the that RFC 7228, the how this constraints device going to be handled in a network. That so after discussing this constraint device, so we can talk about a constraints network, that is. So that constraint based network is a constraint comprises the constraints nodes, that is, or devices. So lossy network indicates the network performance may suffer from interference and variability due to harsh radio environment, right? So that due to this constraints device, so it hamper the performance even in a network also. So layer 1 2 protocols, they can be used, consider a node, constraints node network, and evaluated in the context of the following characteristic for use case applicability. So there is a data rate and throughput, latency, determinism, and overhead or payload going to be discussed. So data rate and throughput in the constraints node network. So data rate from IoT technology, it's range from 100 bits per second with the protocol such as Sigfox to tens of megabytes per second with the technology such as LTE and most of our today mobile device. So that LTE and IEEE 802.11 AC, such protocols are going to be exercised in most of that data rate and throughput going to be addressed. That is, technologies not particularly designed for IoT, so such as cellular, Wi-Fi, match up well of IoT applications with a high bandwidth requirement. So that is there for general applications. So now people are going to borrow them for IoT. So nodes involved with this constraints node involved with video analytics have need for higher data rates. So video summarization, video the analytics and all those, that high data rates will be there. So such their nodes, constraints node will be quite difficult to cope up. So these nodes are found in retail, airport or smart cities environment for detecting events and driving actions of the vehicles, right? So we have that data rate and throughput continuation. So that short range technology also it gives the medium to high data rates that have enough throughput to connect a few endpoints. So example, Bluetooth sensors that are now appearing on a connected wearable fall into this category. That wearable device are there. So that latency and determinism. The expectation of IoT should be known when selecting access technology. So latency is the most response we get difference initiation to getting response. So that latency should be ensure that we have a proper one going to be increase such technology in the IoT. So that factor we need to be considered thoroughly. This is particularly true for wireless networks, where packet loss and retransmission due to interference, collision, noise or normal behaviors, right? So for this latency is going to be more important. So on constraints node, latency may range from few milliseconds to seconds. That is range from few milliseconds to seconds. The applications and protocol stack must be cope up with these wide ranging values. That is, so it range from milliseconds to seconds. For in such case they have to be cope up that one. So we have a overhead and payload issues that. So for IP based network, so that header will be there. So that minimum IP versus 6 MTU, that is a maximum transmission unit size, is expected to 1280 byte. That entire IP packet. So 1280 byte will be there. So therefore the fragmentation of IPv6 payload has to be taken into account. So that is a link layer access protocol with a smaller MTU. So that IP version payload is going to be account. So for example, payload size of IEEE 802.15.4 is 127 bytes and require in a IPv6 payload with a minimum MTU of 1280 bytes to be fragmented. So 1280 bytes is there when you are increasing IP version 6 based device identification. So this payload is more. So this one payload is that smaller 15.4 is 127. So that this 1280 need to be fragmented. So while several of IoT access technology, basically Wi-Fi and cellular are dominant, especially in the smart phones and computer laptop devices. Smart access technology are more suited to specifically connected the constraints nodes. That is, this IEEE 802.15.4 and 4G, 0.4G radio frequency, that wired one is 190.2 power line communication. So low power wide area network and IEEE 0.11H access technologies are the going to be have that these Wi-Fi and cellular applicable. Constraints node network are often referred to as a low power and lossy network. So these constraints node networks generally call it as, in most of the literature, low power and lossy network, that is LLN, low power and lossy networks. See, this low power in the context of LLNs refers to the fact that nodes must cope up with the requirement from the powered and battery powered constraints node, that right must be support that. So this summarization. So we have discussed the range, short range, mid range, long range. Frequency band we have seen in licensed and unlicensed by ITU and that European the committees. Power consumption issues, topology star, mesh and star topology. So basically we have seen that mesh and star going to be is most of the IoT network. Constraint device we have seen that so we have less memory, less power consumption, and cell powered. Constraints network, constraints node based networks also discussed there, especially data rate and throughput latency, and determinism, overhead and payload we discussed. Thank you for patient listening and shown an interest on how to connect these smart objects, and those are the properties we have discussed. We have drawn from this books the material that basically that David Hans et al. Textbook and various other reference books are there. Thanks to coordinator, moderator and subjects expert. Thank you one and all.